Because I'm absolutely crap at live sales pitches, I've had to do a pre-record, right? So here goes. Are you looking for top quality tea and coffee? Well, look no further than the Kent and Sussex Tea and Coffee Company. Owned by a fellow West Ham fan, David. Whether you're after a loose leaf tea with health benefits, tea bags, my personal favourite is Pluckley tea, or a wide selection of coffee beans or grounds, they've got you covered. As a bonus, use a discount code Claret15 at checkout and get 15% off your order. Quality brews at a great price. What more could you ask for? That wasn't too bad, was it? Right, on with the show. The Daily Ramble Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Claret and Booze. My name's Nick. This is a Daily Ramble. I hope you're all well. We've got a lot to get through today. So I've been having a few conversations with people about what to expect on the managerial front, what they're saying in the boardroom and stuff like that. So I've been talking to people from a couple of angles. So I'll give you all that at the end of this show. What I do want to do is get into the meat and bones of what Lopetegui's doing and what his end game is, because there isn't really much that makes sense about what we're seeing at the moment. But before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And don't forget, drop a like on the video. It's the one thing that you can do for us. It really helps. Only takes a second. So let's get cracking. Now, what we're seeing from Julen Lopetegui is an insistence on playing a system. He's got this way of playing that he's trying to squeeze these players into. Now, you can only do that. You can only do that and be successful with it if you've got the personnel to fit that system. But it seems like he's coming in and it's all about him and his system and proving that he can stick to his principles no matter what. And a lot of us from the outside in are going, are you mad? You're failing. You're making everyone look terrible. This is wrong. Look at us, But I don't think that really matters to Lopetegui. He's on a 2-year deal. And if you have a look at Vincent Kompany stuck to his principles with Burnley. He got them promoted, but he stuck to his principles, kept on playing the same way, even though they was getting pumped more often than not. They got relegated. He went and got the Bayern Munich job. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen to Lopetegui, but what he's trying to implement with this group of players doesn't suit the group of players that we've got. He doesn't care. He does not care. That's why it didn't matter what players we went out and we got, whether we went and got Maserati at right wing back or Wan-Bissaka, even though Wan-Bissaka isn't a right wing back. He's not. People are saying he is. How many crosses has he put in? You tell me. Looks good running up the wing. But there's no end product there. He's one of the best defensive right backs in the league. Far better suited to playing as a defensive right back than he is playing further up. He'll do a job if you play him at right wing back in much the same way that Kudus will do a job if you put him on the left wing. We're not putting the players in their best positions, which is why we're not seeing the best from anyone. And we're not seeing the best from Kudus. We're not seeing the best from Bowen. We're not seeing the best from Areola. We're not seeing the best from Wan-Bissaka. We're not really seeing the best from Emerson because Emerson's great at getting forward, but there's no recovery pace there from an attacking perspective. So when he does bomb down the wing, if they hit us on a transition, we're dead. He's not good at getting back in that situation. So in a sense, he's not the best wing back either. We're just not playing in a way that gets the best out of the group of players that we've got. We're just playing in a way that Lopetegui wants us to play. And the reason for that is that I think Lopetegui's on a 2-year deal. I think he's thinking if I just stick to my principles and I show that I will always play the same way. There will be a club out there somewhere that will analyse what I'm doing. Their analysis department will look at what I'm doing and go, that style that he's trying to play with West Ham will fit perfectly in this club. And I think that's what it is. I don't think he really gives a shit about individuals at West Ham, about the ultimate team performances. That's the impression that I'm getting now. And I would say, can you blame him? He's only got a 2-year contract. But of course you can. This is entirely destructive what he's doing. And he's being paid a fortune to do it. He's being paid a fortune to do a job. And he's using us like Vincent Kompany used Burnley, because there is no way that this man can be as useless as what he's being at the moment. If he wanted to get the best out of West Ham and push us on from the start, it is very simple. You would play players in their best positions and play a system that suited the players that we've got so that we would get the best results. But he's not interested in that. If we score a goal, he wants it to be the Lopetegui system that has scored that goal. He doesn't want it to be brilliance from Paqueta or brilliance from Kudus or brilliance from Bowen. It's no good to him. It's no good to him. That's the way it seems. And what we're seeing, the longer this goes on, we're seeing Mohamed Kudus lose his mind. It's going to be so damaging to this club the longer he's allowed to stay here, because we're going to capitulate all of our best players. First of all, their values are dropping by the week. All of them. All the players. They've all gone from, a lot of them have gone from looking like well-beaten players to absolute average Joes. This is what he's doing to this club. Wolves did say similar. Wolves fans did say similar about the man when he was there as well. He's always got his eye on a bigger prize, I think, this guy. He isn't good enough, He's not. I know Gollum Balaguer thinks that he's good enough, but he isn't. And I'm thoroughly fucking resentful that man thinks that he can use his club, and he does think that. Ultimately, I blame Sullivan. Of course we do. Everyone blames Sullivan for this. We haven't stopped blaming Sullivan. This is all Sullivan's fault. It was his decision. He was advised by everyone. I'm not expecting him to listen to fans, but at least listen to your staff. And we've heard now that Tim Steiner, he's apparent director of football, advised him against that move, as well as other people on the board that were not happy with this decision to go and get Lopetegui because of his track record. The guy's a narcissist. He doesn't care about this club. They've got to get him out. They have to get him out because we're not going to improve under him. He'll just keep doing this. He'll keep playing the same way, playing players out of position, playing in a shape that doesn't suit the personnel that we've got. Every now and then we'll win and we'll beat a weaker opponent. We'll probably beat Everton. I don't think we'll beat Man United because they're in a very similar situation whereby they've got a manager that is obsessed with a system and he just won't change it. Nobody really knows what he's doing. He hasn't got the personnel to deliver it. So it's going to be very interesting what happens on Sunday, because I think you've got two managers there that are pretty clueless for their clubs. But I don't know what the outcome's going to be. I think we've got to win that game, but I don't think we will. I think that they, as bad as they are, I think they're better than us. There was a few people mentioned Wolves, the way that Wolves played the other day. When they played Man City, they looked far better than us. I know that ultimately they got beat. They went 1-0 up, should have been 2-0, but they look more together as a team, and they're down the bottom of the league. I don't think there's many teams in this division that are currently worse than West Ham. Ignore the team sheet and ignore the stars that we've got. It's teams that win football matches. We're one of the worst teams in the Premier League. And that's been created by this new manager. He's pulled the team apart, and it isn't because it isn't because we've got all these new players in. I mean, we've just spoken about one new player that we've brought in who's a fantastic right back, but he's not being used in that capacity. We've brought him in to play him somewhere else. How many times have we seen that before? I don't see any way this is going to work. It's going to end messy. The longer it drags on, the worse it's going to be for us. We've got to just move on and get him out of this club. And I do think that this has been highlighted by people within the club, and there's a lot of battles going on in that boardroom at the moment, especially because Sullivan did go against the will of a lot of people. Everything that people warned Sullivan against vocally in the boardroom is coming to fruition. He's got egg on his face. He must feel, because he looks like an absolute mug for what he's done. So what I can see happening is a change, and a change very, very soon. I'm starting to get more relaxed about it. Well, I'm getting relaxed about the fact that I think Lopetegui is going to go. I'm never going to be relaxed about his replacement again because of what we've just been through with David Moyes to Lopetegui. You start thinking to yourself, well, what's he going to do next? Who's going to come in next? It's important that we do it now rather than after Christmas, because if we wait until after Christmas in the new year, the only way Lopetegui gets sacked at that point is if it's got even worse, and then we are cemented in a relegation battle, which means we're looking at a firefighter-style manager. If we move on now and just accept the fact that, look, we're not seeing green shoots of fuck all here. It has been 10 games. It ain't been 8. There's been 2 cup games. So it's been 10 games, and we are no further along than what we was in game 1 of the season. We're not. We're not any further along at all. We're at the same point. The guy, we keep saying he doesn't know what his best 11 is, what his best shape is. He knows exactly what he wants. And that's why he picks players like Sussex, because they will just do whatever they're asked to do, and that's why and that's why he will keep on picking players like that, because other players want to be played to their strengths so that they can showcase their talents, and they believe that West Ham can go on and do better than what they're doing. So that's why he's having running battles with a lot of players. Probably why Alvarez has been dropped. Probably why he's fallen out with Kudus. It's going to continue in this vein. He needs sort of subservient players, and subservient players generally are not the good players. You know, they're the ones that are just grateful to be in the team. We should be moving beyond that. We should be moving beyond that. Yeah. So I think it's got to end. I think it's going to end soon, but it's down to what happens next. Now, we've been linked with Terzic, who we know has worked at West Ham before under Slaven Bilic. We've been linked with him before. He's out of work at the moment. That looks like what you would say a typical Sullivan signing. And a lot of people like that. They like the name. I don't know too much about him as a manager. I don't. I'm going to go by what Gio said, who apparently does know a fair bit about him in his time at Dortmund. I don't really watch German football. I just know the high level stuff. I know that he almost won the league and he got them to a Champions League final. I know that much. I didn't know he was a pragmatist. I didn't know that the Dortmund fans and players were falling out with Terzic because of his style of football, because he was pretty much a counter-attacking manager. The style was he didn't mind the opposition having the ball and then he would hit him on the counter. I mean, why? If this is true, I don't want him. I don't want another pragmatist. I'll support him if he comes in, but I just managers of that profile, you know, why? Why can't we just go in a different direction? We've got flair players, beautiful players that would flourish in a different system, in a different style. Why can't we just go the other way? This has not worked. It wasn't working under a pragmatist who was David Moyes. We had 2 awful years in the league, consecutive awful years in the league, and we've gone on to another pragmatist in Lopetegui. Let's change direction, please. Now, look, I might be wrong on Terzic. You lot can tell me in the comments if I am. I'm going based on what Gio said. If he is pragmatic, I don't want him. I'll be honest. Not as strongly as I didn't want Lopetegui. I mean, he might be good at it. That's the thing. He might be good at that. I don't know. Because at least if you're going to play this shithouse way, at least be good at it. Lopetegui ain't. But that would be, from what I've been told, I think Terzic, even though what I just said, that would be a typical Sullivan signing. I don't think it's Sullivan that's driving that. I think it's Tim. Because from what I've been told, Sullivan is not happy with Tim. He's not happy with Tim. Now, you can make of this what you want, but when Tim Stein came in, he was credited with the signings of Dinos, with Alvarez, and with Kudus. Well, it's been pretty much clarified now to me, not just by the normal sources, that it was not Tim that identified Kudus. It was not Tim that identified Alvarez. It was not Tim that identified Dinos. All Tim did was flew over in his jet, got the deal signed. These players had already been identified and we wanted them, but Tim did get the deals done, but he hadn't identified them as talent. So take those aside, leave those aside for one moment. You know, basically Tim got going in the summer. He dropped the ball on Duran. He did. We was given the opportunity to sign him for a lot less than what they wanted in the end. And we could have got the deal done before they sold Diaby and the Brazilian. Can't think of his name. Before they sold those two, because they had to raise funds so they could be in line with FFP or whatever it was. I don't know. He didn't. He dropped the ball, thought, I'll get that done later. I'm going to go and see if I can find a better striker in Brazil or go and do this. He was gone. He was out there for ages. He came back with a 25 million youngster that probably isn't going to get much in terms of minutes in this season. I'm not having a go at Guilherme. He might come good at some point, but from what that manager thinks and from what we are seeing, he isn't ready. He's not. 25 million. And we dropped the ball on Duran. Now we know that Todibo looks like that was a starting signing. You know, very, very. You know, that's good. That's a tick. He got that one done. Somerville has been claimed by Sullivan. Aaron Wan-Bissaka has been long chased by Sullivan and was wanted by Lopetegui because he is a Will Salthouse player. So that is not a Tim Stein one. Wan-Bissaka is not. Kilman was not a Tim Stein signing. So the one that was, and the one that is the killer for me, the crux of it, is Fore. And that for me is a stinker. And that's one that he does deserve to be beaten over. Really does. Because it's unacceptable. You know, what Sullivan did with Tim was he allowed him to go out and get his brother in as a scout. We went out and we got Maximilian Hahn in as an analyst from Werder Bremen, was it, where he was? So we've got this this team of people now that can scour the world market and look for talent, look for pearls. That's what we was. You need a player of a certain profile. These people will find them for you. And the best that they could come up with was a 31-year-old German striker that was a striker that for their previous clubs is like a mate, if you like. Not only did we sign him, we paid 27 million for him. He's on ridiculous wages. He's on 120 grand over the next 4 years. We've got him until he's 35. It was obscene. And it gets worse when you look at his injury record. So when you look at his injury record and you put it alongside Andy Carroll's, and I'm not joking or exaggerating when I say this, there isn't much difference. He had 3 years grace in the previous 3 years before he came here, where he was used predominantly as a bench player, off the bench. He wasn't playing full 90 minutes every week. It just wasn't happening. He was still getting injured, but nothing severe. But prior to that, his injury record's been awful. So for us to go from somebody like Duran, a sprightly 20-year-old with the world at his feet, to go to Fulkrug is unacceptable. So what I can see happening is one of two things. And that is Tim Steiten stays and we go and get somebody like Terzic. Or they both go, Loppy and Tim goes, and Sullivan, by doing that, would be throwing Tim under the bus and probably half blaming him for what's gone wrong, even though it's probably not Tim Steiten's fault, but Sullivan's going to need a fall guy. They're going to need someone to hang. So I can imagine Tim going with Lopetegui saying that project failed. If he does that, however, it would be awful on the face of it. But I think the only way that is going to be recovered is if Sullivan does what he's never done before and he goes and buys a manager out of their contract, a proper manager from the Premier League that plays the right brand of football that would shut us all up and we'd all be very excited. And the name that I've been given that I can't give you at the moment because he's currently in a job, we would all be excited about. And there's no point me giving you this name yet because it isn't even close to being done, from what I've been told. But it is certainly someone that Sullivan has mentioned to someone to go and talk to. So there's two things going on here. You've got Tim Steiten going, Loppy's going out. I'm going to go and get my head coach in. And somebody like Terzic, who's worked in the German league under directors of football, would be very subservient to Tim and it would work in that system. The manager that Sullivan's looking for is a manager and will want more control and will not be subservient with Tim. So we've got people looking at different options here. So it's what option we take. Do we take a Terzic with Tim Steiten or do we go out and get an all-singing, all-dancing manager that plays fucking good football that we would all love? And I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what's for the best. The last thing that I would ever want is for Sullivan to go back to signing players again. But from what I've seen in this, with the recruitment that we've just made, I don't think it's a whole lot better. There's been a couple of good players that we've signed, but there's been a lot of crap as well. I think we haven't solved proper issues that we had in the squad. We didn't get the striker. We needed a right wing back clearly for Lopetegui. We bought a right back. That's wrong. And you could see that from the right backs that we were linked with. We were linked with Kyle Walker-Peters, who is a wing back, and Maserati, the geezer who went to Man United. I mean, I think he's crap, but he's a wing back. He's not a right back. And we were linked with Duran and went from Duran to Fulkrug. So this whole recruitment thing for me, this drive with this team behind, it hasn't really improved things for me. When I look at it on the face of it, we've let Pablo Fornals go and we've gone and got Guido. Why? You're telling me that Guido's better than Fornals. I know they're different players. One's a CDM. We've let... I mean, James Ward-Prowse, I'll still say it now. I think he's crap. He's a one-trick pony. But I think he's a better player than Guido. I don't know now. I don't think I'd be that heartbroken, providing... So if Sullivan was to go, to try and save his own face, because that's what he's going to do, because he is a little narcissist and he ain't going to want to accept in public that he made this mistake. He'd rather pin it on someone. But whatever PR they have to carry out, if Tim has to be the fall guy, I'm past caring. All I care about is what happens on that football pitch. That's it. I'm sick of watching what I've been watching. I don't want any more pragmatic crap. I just don't want to see it anymore. I'm fed up of watching chess. I want to watch football again. If we get the manager that I've been told that we are interested in, that Sullivan is interested in, I would be incredibly happy, and so would most other people. But, you know, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I do think it isn't going to last much longer. I don't think he's going to get till the new year. You know, he's been given the vote of confidence and they've said the new year. That's nonsense. If we go and get a pasting at home against Man United, I think that's probably going to be it. It's going to be curtains. Because you can't then give him Everton and gauge it on that. Everton are just as crap as us. That means nothing. Just like Ipswich meant nothing, really. It didn't. Because this instruction from Sullivan to this person to go out there looking for another manager was taken before the Spurs game. So after we'd just beaten Ipswich 4-1, and before we'd lost to Spurs, that was when the conversation happened for this man was requested by Sullivan to go and talk about a release clause, basically. So yeah, that could be what we're in store for. What would you rather do? Would you rather stick with the Tim Steidten model and go with a pick of Tim Steidten's choice based on what we're seeing of Tim now? So place all your faith in that, or would you rather go? I can't tell you the name, but would you rather just go, take my word for it, with a manager that would play football that you would love, and a very good manager at that as well, but he would have more control in transfers and be able to bring players in that he wants? What would you prefer now if you could choose to go in two directions? Let me know. Speak to you all soon. Come on, you irons.